This divorce lawyer has been making a lot of noise on the internet these past couple of years because he's a divorce lawyer that actively advocates against marriage, which is kind of interesting in of itself. And now he's making a video on why social media has ruined dating. He has a lot of interesting things to say, so I'm curious as to what this video is going to be. This is a blind watch, so we'll see how it goes, and I'll be giving my 2 cents as he makes his comments. Let's go. Nice intro. It's like I'm watching a TV show.
All right, Jim, we begin today with the GOAT, Tom Brady.
The reason why I laughed is because the Better Call Sexton thing. It's literally a play on Better Call Saul, and I fucking love that show. I've seen it twice, as well as Breaking Bad.
In what I think might
See, in
be...
my circles, the GOAT is Marcelo Garcia, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu head. But yes, I understand Tom Brady also the GOAT.
I would say this might be his biggest L since he lost to the Jets in the playoffs. After Giselle announced that she married her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu trainer, Tom Brady posted a story on Instagram wearing a Forever Young hoodie with Logic's Suicide song playing in the background as like the soundtrack to the post. And a lot of people are saying he's in his feelings and not handling the news well.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah, so
This
if
is
you're,
a first.
the Logic song 1-800-273-8255.
Remember, guys, not even Tom Brady is immune to divorce. So what makes you any special?
Is the suicide hotline number.
Okay.
And he's wearing this hoodie that says Forever Young.
Okay.
And has a caption that says LFG, and the music's playing in the background directly after.
He looks kind of scrawny in this picture. I don't know why. I would think that he'd have a little more muscle, but that's just me. I don't know. I think it's just a bad photo. But is this supposed to be the thirst trap? I mean, he's got a nice face regardless, but still.
Your ex-wife announces that she's getting married.
Wow.
Could be coincidence, could be nothing
I
at all.
feel like
but
it's not
certainly
a coincidence.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be a really weird coincidence if it was a
Weird
coincidence.
coincidence.
And yeah, I mean, look, sometimes that's like a cry for sympathy and attention where I think someone is like they want to be the dumped as opposed to the dumper. It's a little bit of a public humiliation when a person who initially your then spouse was denying having a relationship with, now she's marrying, you know,
Mhm.
it kind of like lays bare like, oh, okay, there was something going on there for a period of time. I mean, how can you resist these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys? I mean, we're irresistible. You can throw a ball, Tom, we can choke the shit out of you.
Or her.
Yeah, or her. Yeah, depending on what we're into. But yeah, and look,
The real question is, what belt is he in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
plus, you know, they can speak Portuguese to each other.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I assume people post things on social media. I like to think about what is this person trying to make their perceived audience feel? So like, what is it that you're doing? Because it's performative. Like you can't say, like, even if you do that like thing people do where they, you know, they have the photo taken and they're staring off this way, like they didn't even know the photo was being
Total
taken. of them.
candid.
Yeah, like it was just like somehow the paparazzi of their 400 followers like caught, you know, like so it's really, you're posting this for a reason, right? And
I'm gonna guess what he's gonna say. It's basically to just attract attention from the opposite gender or the gender that you find attractive. That's what it is. It's peak performative, whether you're a woman or a man. It's just straight up being performative when you're just looking out into the horizon and all that shit. Yeah, you're not fooling anyone. When you try to look mysterious like that, you're trying to impress a certain group of people through your stories or reels or whatever you want to call it.
unless you have like a social media team. And even then, like, you know, like something like that, that's clearly something he posted. That wasn't something that they clipped and put up or whatever. So, you know, what is it he wants us to feel? Does he want us to feel badly for him for the fact that he went through this very human experience of a breakup and someone leaving you and, you know, moving on? Okay, you know, does he want us to feel angry at her that for her betrayal of him and sort of make him more victim-like? I mean, it doesn't strike me as someone who is a particularly victimhood kind of a guy. He seems like a hard-charging, kind of, you can't be a quarterback at that level and not be a born leader and not be someone who's really good at sort of managing people and managing their talent. So I'm not quite sure what it is he's trying to.
Especially when you're his age, because he's in his 40s, right? Being in your 40s and still playing professional NFL, that is the definition of unk status, because most of these NFL players, they have to retire in their early 30s by the latest, but this guy is still fucking tackling people well into his 40s. That's insane. Like, dude's been on an absolute god run, everything else aside.
To say or do in this post. Sometimes just be maybe a little more clear with your feelings, unless he sees this as a form of performance art, in which case it's like, okay, just project whatever you want to on this. I find it hard to believe that he'd be having a hard time getting laid. I mean, I'm sure he's doing fine.
I was going to say, if the goal, as you alluded to in the beginning, is sympathy, I'm not going to have much for Thomas Brady and his life.
Yeah, my man has lived a hell of a life. Like, if he never did anything else for the rest of his life, if he just decided, I'm going to sit on my couch, eat Cheetos, get fat, and just accomplish nothing, he still did more than like most 5 people will do in a lifetime. So, yeah, it's but
the funny part about that too is he can eat McDonald's, Cheetos, sit on a couch for the rest of his life, and he will still be able to pull women for the sheer fact that he's Tom motherfucking Brady. And only that, but he has a shitload of money. When you have that much money, a lot of women are willing to look the other way, even when it comes to looks, whatever, right? Even just the clout of saying, hey, I was Tom Brady's girlfriend is enough for these women. Even if he becomes a fat blob and just eats his McBurgers all day, he's got it made. He's got it made for the rest of his life. I can tell you that.
But, look, I think I have represented, people that are very high achieving athletes, NFL, NHL, NBA, and NFL. I mean, his career was insanely long for an NFL player. Like, I've represented some NFL players that had 3-year careers, 5-year careers, and made tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars during that incredibly time short. But the problem is then you're 35 years old, 30 years old, and you're done. Like, you're done. Your career is over. You'll never feel that rush of walking into a stadium and having the roar, the explosion of it. And a lot of them will say that that's the high that they're chasing. That's the dragon that they're chasing. So, I think
it's kind of like those guys who peaked in high school and they were star quarterbacks on the football team. That's what kind of vibe this is giving me right now. But at least with the NFL players, most of them have made millions upon millions in their 3 to 5 year career that they can sit on that money and retire for the rest of their lives. Now, I know this isn't about dating, what I'm about to say, but another problem though is that a lot of these guys aren't very financially illiterate, so they blow through that money, and that's the big problem, right? They're never going to have similar opportunities like that again, but they're blowing money as if the NFL paychecks are still coming in. That's a pretty big fucking problem, and that's why a lot of these NFL guys get stressed that they're not able to find work after their 30s, because obviously there's no other job that's going to pay you fucking $1 to $2 million plus a year to play football. That shit's long gone. Be even lucky to get like a 6-figure job at that point, because all they literally done was play football. After that, the only really other option that you have is sponsorships and brand deals, and just learning how to invest your money properly so you can passively make money off of the millions that you've already made, essentially. But yeah,
he's lost a lot in the last 5 years. I'm not trying to say we owe Tom Brady sympathy.
Divorce
we
and
don't.
shit.
The guy's had an amazing life. He's still got an amazing life. But I do understand, like, the worst pain you've ever felt is the worst pain you've ever felt. Like, the worst pain you've ever felt is a bee sting, and the worst pain someone else has felt is their arm being chopped off. The worst pain you felt is still the worst pain you ever felt. So Tom Brady 5 years ago had the roar of the crowd when he walked in to literally run the show and absolutely just crush it as a professional, playing at the highest level with the greatest coach, with an amazing team. and he had a wife who was the greatest supermodel ever, and all of those things. Jump back 10 years, 15 years. And now kind of none of those things are present in his life. So I imagine that must create for someone some pain, some existential pain. You know, there is something to be said. Like, I've had clients who were worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and then through whatever, you know, change in the markets or whatever might have occurred, now they have much less money. They're not flying private anymore. They're not, you know, renting an entire island anymore. They're still having good lives, but they don't.
Oh no.
It is probably better never to. Like, I flew international first class a couple of times. It ruins you. Like, it ruins every other flying experience because it's just so unbelievably nice. You have your own room basically in the sky and a full bed and all these other amazing, like, great food, great wine. Once you've done that, sitting in economy on Southwest or even sitting on first class on United is just not as good. So again, no sympathy. Oh, poor me. You can't fly private or you can't fly international first class. But it really is like, okay.
And then you got to deal with the crying little shitters back in economy and the fucking super fat people demanding for an extra seat because they're too fat to fit in one seat. Oh boy, I could imagine that's quite the fall from grace, having to switch from private or even first class to going back to economy. God help me.
I get it that you've taken a step back and that kind of jars a person a little bit. So I think that's where he's coming from.
I think I know the answer to this, but when going through a breakup or a situation like this, aside from the advice of don't be on social media at all, because I think that's what you're going to say, what do you think is the best way to because everyone's on social, they're going to be
don't
posting.
Be on social media is the answer. I think if there's something you can get from social media, like, that will be helpful to you, having some attention, some sympathy. I mean, why do you think, you know, women will post a photo of themselves like in their outfit of the day, you know, because they want some positive affirmation. They want their girlfriends to be like, oh, queen, so high on fire, you know, like that's totally normal. Like, it's totally okay. We're social creatures. Like,
I feel like they're also hoping for the guy that they like to reach out to them and be like, you look nice or whatever, right? So that's another reason why they do those outfit of the days, to get validation from not only their friends, but from guys that they want to actually hang out and, I guess, go out on a couple of dates with.
Want the feedback of others, the praise of others. We want to feel some connection to others. Do I think that I think this is much better than getting on and slagging Gisele and getting on and like weaponizing against your co-parent. This is much better than that. It comes off a little needy for me. It's not, again, maybe I'm traditional in some of my gender roles, but like for a man to be like, I'm hurting, you know, like just feels a little like, okay, like it's okay to feel hurt and it's okay to reach out to people, but to just sort of reach out to the populace and say, oh, I'm in pain. I don't know that that's a great look.
The Suicide song's a bit much.
That's
you want to get in your feelings, fine,
that's
but the Logic
much,
song,
man. I mean, look, you've got a lot to live for there, buddy, and I think, you know, as someone who's had, you know, people I know die by suicide, that is a really serious image or thought to even invoke. You know, it's such an unbelievably dark place for people's brains to go. And so again, I don't know, especially too when you're a public figure at the level of Tom Brady, that like suggesting even the possibility that one could feel a suicidal impulse as a function of a breakup. Like, there's 8 billion people in the world, roughly half of them are women. Like, I think out of the 4 billion females in the world, Tom could potentially find love again. I think he'll be okay. Now, sir, you've just...
I don't know if it would be genuine love, though. That's the problem. Because when you're someone like Tom Brady, you're going to have to also constantly ask yourself this question. Is she in it for the money, or is she in it because she really likes me? A lot of ladies are going to go in there with not the best intentions, thinking that they're going to collect a massive bag if they get into a relationship with Tom Brady. Because even if Tom Brady decides not to marry them, he's still obviously going to treat them to nice dates, maybe even have the woman move in with him if things go well enough. Like, just even being exposed to that is enough of an incentive for these women to give Tom Brady a shot, even if the personalities don't match, even if he shows a bunch of red flags. So, yeah, his situation's kind of unique. If he really wants to find true love, he's going to have to find someone that's closer to his I guess wealth class, so to speak, is the best way to explain it. Because then this way, if the woman he's dating is closer to his level financially, then she's likelier to be into him because she liked him as a person. That's why a lot of these A-list celebrities only tend to date other A-list celebrities, or if they go lower, they might settle for like a B-lister, but they won't go for someone who's a non-celebrity or someone who doesn't already have millions of dollars to themselves, so to speak. So Tom Brady's situation is a hard one because it's already hard enough to find a decent regular person. That shit's already like 10% right there. Just finding someone who can make like 150K plus a year, that's already like in the 10%. So to find someone who's another A-lister or B-lister, even with the resources that he has, because obviously there's parties that he probably goes to where he's likelier to meet these celebrities and be able to get his foot in the door in terms of getting a relationship. But like even then, those women are so far and few that it's going to be tough for him to find someone actually genuine. So there's that.
Described yourself as financially responsible, isn't that right?
Oh, is this an
I'd
ad?
like to think so. Have you ever heard of
Some
Rocket
blatant
Money?
ad. Skip through it.
So you mentioned women posting thirst traps for validation
Yes.
and whatnot. We got some.
I usually try not to skip through ads, especially if I like the creator, like this one. But in this case, we're already taking up a lot of time, and I want to get through the rest of this video. So
developments in the divorce world regarding thirst traps, at least in Turkey.
Wow, you brought a lot of dissimilar elements together.
Turkey,
We
okay.
got turkey, thirst traps.
It's all coming together. Don't worry.
Okay, here we go.
Turkish
See you
thirst
land that
traps.
plane.
A Turkish court has ruled that liking another woman's social media posts can be used as evidence in divorce proceedings.
Oh Jesus!
Is that something
cut to the men all going through their phone?
I just learned something new. I didn't know that until now. That Turkey is making it so even just liking somebody else's thirst trap is now a good enough reason to divorce someone. Holy fucking shit. That is breaking news to me. Wow. Mind is fucking blown.
Unlike very quickly right now.
Is that something that can be used in America, like social media behavior?
Of course, like social media is used all the time by divorce lawyers. We love it. We follow people on TikTok. We follow people on Instagram. The code of professional ethics allows us to follow anyone who has a public profile. We can also, you can't create a false account and then ask to follow the person if they have a private account because it's trying to communicate with a represented party about the subject of the representation. But yeah, anything you post can and will be used against you in a court of law. Like I've eviscerated people on the witness stand with shit that they posted on originally Facebook, now Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. People just love going on there and being like, I'm not talking about anyone specific, but if your ex-husband named Steve ever did it, and you're like, really? Do you think a judge is going to watch that and go, I had a guy I banged this guy up in the courtroom because he was recording a TikTok from the bathroom at the courthouse. And like in the Westchester County Courthouse, and there's signs everywhere that say you're not allowed to use record or take photographs anywhere in the courthouse. And I actually saw it come up.
Get ready with me to go to divorce court.
While we were going into court. So I said, Your Honor, while we are here, he's wearing this exact outfit. I know the window he's standing in front of, and it really, he got pilloried for it. So again, I think it's one of those crazy ass things that somebody be like, yo, live from my divorce right now, send some likes, Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So
ask for the galaxy. Just go all in, man.
Yeah, I people do this stuff all the time. Do I think this should be a basis for divorce? I mean, most states are no fault states, so it doesn't really matter why you're getting divorced, and there's no good spouse bonus or bad spouse penalty. But
they said this quote undermines marital trust.
That you liked other photos,
Correct. And
thirst
that-
trap photos.
She accused her husband of belittling her. Now, of course, there's
Yeah.
also he failed to provide financial support.
Yeah,
and,
so it's
there's a bunch of
within
other things.
It's
but-
within a course of conduct and saying that, okay, among this, like he's never once told me I'm pretty in the last 6 months, but he's liked 300 women's thirst trap photos.
Mhm.
You could make a cogent argument.
I mean, that screenshot right now, I'm not surprised that the man lost, because here's the harsh truth about divorces and family courts. They usually don't favor men. Men are the ones most likely to get the shitty end of the stick, so to speak. And they're treated the absolute worst when it comes to divorce proceedings. They're gonna take every bad thing that the man does and basically multiply it by 10. That's how severe it's gonna be. That's how shitty it is for most of these men to walk into marriage, because divorce is never friendly to them. And this guy could be like the perfect motherfucker, right? He could be not only paying for everything, he could also do all the household chores, cook the meals, even take care of the kids. Somehow find the time and energy to take care of the kids afterwards, and the wife can just sit on the couch all day. And the wife can still get bored, cheat on him, leave, and they're still going to hold the man accountable. And the man still gets fucked in divorce court and has to give up assets, even though the wife did absolutely nothing to contribute to the relationship or even the well-being of the child, and decides to like fucking cheat as well. So yeah, the husband could be perfect, the wife could be an absolute bitch, and the guy still loses his shirt in divorce court. I think that's why a lot of men are just not looking to get married.
Argument
Quite
that would make
frankly.
a person feel, unhappy. Does it make them feel unsafe? I'd imagine not. But for the purposes of saying, is this like cruel treatment to a person or neglectful behavior towards your spouse? Arguably. I mean, look, if you don't ever compliment your spouse and their appearance, and you do compliment a lot of other people online, I could understand someone saying like, wow, you're giving a lot of praise to strangers or to other connections and very little to me. That seems like a fair comment. But again, the question is people are posting online their greatest hits. I mean, people are posting things for the purpose, this performative greatest hits of saying like, hey, look how good I look. And usually because they look pretty good, So again, I don't know if this should be something that really should be a deal breaker in relationships, but I could understand someone being a little jealous if someone is repeatedly liking other people's images, especially if it's someone who you know. So it's kind of an entry point potentially into communicating with that person. If it's like a random celebrity who they're never going to meet, it's not like, a celebrity is going to, like Minka Kelly is going to be like, hey, of the 50,000 people that like this photo of me in a bikini, one of them is this random person from Utah. I think I'm going to message him and be like, you like what you see? Like, that's not how it works. So, but yeah, I get it.
Can you go a little deeper into
I mean, it's still the thought of the person liking that in the first place, especially if the poster is posting a thirst trap,
the
right?
no fault?
Oops. Especially if the poster is posting a thirst trap. Doesn't matter if it's just 1 in 100,000 likes or whatever. It's still the sheer fact that person liked and commented. In a way, a lot of people see it as a form of soft cheating, and I don't necessarily blame them for thinking that way. That's just the power of social media these days, right? Is that, people will look for any reason to discredit who they're dating or even working with or whatever by just simply going off of who that other person liked.
Fault divorce talk. It's something that I think everybody hears and understands the basic ideas, but what did it used to be with fault versus
Yeah, it was
no
so
fault?
fun in the old days. Like in the old days, it was an easy 10, 20,000 extra dollars in every divorce, where first you had to establish fault. So there were grounds for divorce. There was, cruel and inhuman treatment, abandonment, constructive abandonment, adultery. There was a uncurable mental illness. There were a variety of grounds, and each of them had different standards of proof. So abandonment meant that this person had left for a year or more with no tidings. I always thought that was so funny, like that was the way the law was phrased.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine like some man by like the dock, looking out into that. And they're like, "Have you heard from Esther?" No. No time.
Now it's just a matter of which person liked more thirst traps. That's the discovery now.
Tidings. No tidings. Like if you'd sent tidings, somehow
You'd
that
be good.
Yeah.
Let's also check them DMs. Who's been DMing more people of the opposite gender? It's literally all on Discovery is literally just all on social media now. If I had to guess, just bust out the TikTok, bust out the Instagram, the Snapchat. But I mean, if we're talking about divorce, most of these people should be too old for Snapchat in the first place, but wouldn't fucking surprise me.
That would be,
Some
I
poor
sent
bastard
you
going,
tidings.
"Why did I send tidings?"
I send tidings from the port of New Jersey. I gaze
So
at
easy.
thee across the Hudson. So yeah, constructive abandonment was my favorite. Constructive abandonment was a refusal to have sex with your spouse for a period of 1 year. Without there being any physical incapacity that would prevent you from being able to do so. And I just thought that was so funny because like the state had decided that once a year is how many times you have to have sex with your spouse.
You like there's some girl out there
Yeah.
on day 364.
Yeah,
like,
she's
"All right,
got
we
like
gotta
the
do it."
calendar, like the how many days since an accident at work, and she's like, "Oh, we got 5 days left to bang him," like, "Oh, all right, let's go,"
The sad part is a lot of married couples can go literally years without sex. I feel like once a year is actually probably the norm. Which is the really sad part in today's modern marriages, so to speak.
Like, and I always thought that was funny.
And then
And-
so what happened? Like, did the
You would have
Supreme
to prove
Court or
grounds.
someone? No, but I mean, when did it like shift? I feel like mostly
it
it's
shifted
no
in,
fault,
I
right?
think 2012, 2011 in New York. Prior to that, a lot of states were no fault. I had a lot of fun when we were a fault-based state because we used to have to do grounds trials once in a while. And it was the only, you would put on testimony about like, and did you offer to have sex with him? And did he say
wow.
no? And
Man, that's terrible.
Adultery was a hard one because, no pun intended, because adultery, you had to prove what was called inclination and opportunity. So inclination is you had to prove that there was some extraneous evidence that showed that this person wanted to have sex with this person. But this is all before text messages and things, mind you.
Right.
And then you also had to prove opportunity, which meant that they had the opportunity to have sex
Oh, wiretapping.
somewhere. So, that's how like the image of the divorce lawyer with like the person taking pictures of someone coming out of a
I see,
motel.
yeah.
But the truth is, like, people can have sex almost anywhere. Like it was,
Right.
I remember representing a dentist who, he was sleeping with his dental hygienist and they used to just have sex in the office chair at work all the
Oh.
time. And,
The office chair where patients get their teeth cleaned at. Holy fuck. Wow. That is kind of mind-blowing. Even if they sanitize the shit afterwards, you better watch out because you might be sitting in what's used as a sex scene for a bunch of kinky dentists and their assistants.
they couldn't prove opportunity, but I was like, dude, they're at the office together by themselves. You don't think they're having sex in the conference room table or on the desk? I mean, like, come on, that's how it works. I don't, not
Sounds like shit you'd only expect in porn.
personally speaking, of course. Although I do have a conference room table and a desk. And
Although I'm sure some of these ideas have been inspired by porn as well. So you can thank porn, which I guess is a form of social media in a way as well.
a key to my office. So I guess that's an opportunity. But I don't know any dental hygienists though. So I really think it's one of those things that grounds was fun for lawyers, but you almost always established grounds. And even if you lost grounds, it was like, okay, so now this person doesn't want to be married to you, but you don't have a basis to bring a divorce action against them. It's not like the state could compel you to continue to reside with them. So it really just held off the equitable distribution of property, spousal support, child support, those kinds of things. So it was just an added layer of complication. I know there's a lot of like right-wing conservative people that are like, we need to get rid of no-fault divorce. We need to make it harder for people to get divorced. I think that is absolutely bat batshit crazy. I've said it before. I'll say it a million more times. I said it in my debate with Matt Walsh. I've said it on some of my conversations with, right-wing conservative media people, that I think barriers to entry would make more sense. Like, make it harder to get married so that people take the idea of getting married more seriously. But barriers to exit, by the time you're in a place where you're ready to exit a marriage at that level.
Yeah, but how would you make marriage harder? Like, would both the husband and wife have to put up a fee before they can actually get married? Like a substantial fee, like maybe each of them pay like a couple, I don't know, $1,000 that's non-refundable to have the state recognize their marriage. I don't know how you're gonna make getting married harder. It's kind of a slippery slope. I mean, I guess you could have like a pre-marriage period where you have to be together for at least 10 years before you can be considered official husband and wife. Have to do all the divorce shit. But man, this is a reason why marriage scares the shit out of me. Because if me and my partner have a falling out and we don't want to continue working things out, I really don't want the government involved in my relationships to that kind of level, especially when it comes to something as intimate and private as dating and getting married to the person that you love. I feel like the government shouldn't get involved. Just take everything else aside, right? Like, obviously I'm a little biased as a guy, not quite in the red pill sense, but I am afraid that if I marry someone and then things don't work out, I'm the one that has to lose my shirt. But like, when you put that aside, right, it just feels invasive that we have the government that's supposed to be very public getting involved in something that's, again, like I've said, super private and intimate with something that's super private and intimate, such as marriage. So yeah, I don't know.
Level, like, you're not doing anybody any favors by making it harder.
Dangerous game to play too, when people might have a real reason but can't
100%.
prove it or something along those lines.
I mean, most of the time what was happening is we would bring divorces on constructive abandonment, because how do you prove that someone didn't have sex with you or did have sex with you? Like, it's very hard to prove that. So it was, I did remember though having a wonderful courtroom moment where my client, the woman, was on the stand and they were saying, isn't it true that you didn't have sex with him for a period of 1 year? And she's like, no, I'll have sex with him right now. She's like, if there's a broom closet or something, we can go in there right now and have sex. Like, that's absolutely not true. And I remember thinking, call her bluff on that. That'd be really funny. You know what I mean?
Can I get
Like,
15
Yeah,
minutes?
nightclub style. Bring her to the bathroom. Do it in the stall. Get really freaky, because it could very well be the last time if this is divorce court.
15-minute recess,
Last one for
maybe
the road.
20 if we want to snuggle. So yeah, I think it got rid of an impediment that just increased people's legal expense.
Now, my $1 million question is, have any of you had sex in a courtroom with your partner? That's the $1 million question. I highly doubt it, but if you're that rare person, leave a comment.
I got some good news for you, Jim.
I always like good news.
Especially after a few weeks of what I think was bad news for you. Nikki Bella
Oh boy,
took
There
to
it is.
Instagram
Okay.
and shut down any of these dating and hookup rumors,
Oh snap.
saying, quote, I haven't even kissed someone in so long. Like, even thinking about kissing, I haven't done that in forever. It's kind of crazy.
So you're saying there's a chance? Yeah. All right. Well, man, I don't know what to say to that.
Is it good that I don't know who this Nikki person is? Because this is my first time. No, because it's my first time hearing about her name. And now the first two pictures that I see of her are absolute thirst traps. And apparently there's rumors involved around her dating someone seriously. Who fucking knows? But guess we'll find out.
I mean, Nikki is hasn't slept with anyone in ages after hookup rumors. And she had a lot of hookup rumors. There was like
There
some
was a
wrestler, then there
and
was
then
the 22-year-old football player guy.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, Nikki, listen, she's out there. These people are
Hey, Nikki, you're so fine.
talking about you. Listen, maybe you need representation just to help you navigate that. I'm available. I just want you to know it's not, I'm here to be a supportive presence.
Although I do want to say
Wouldn't
maybe
that be
some bad
defamation?
news here. She addressed other claims last week, saying that she does not have sex with fans.
Okay, I didn't say I was a fan. I'm not a WWE fan. I don't even.
That's a
I'm
lawyer,
not a
folks. He's
fan.
playing
I
the
didn't a
semantics
fan.
game, Your
I'm not a
Honor. I'm not
fan.
technically a fan. I'm
Technically
an
a fan.
admirer.
Yeah, I mean, you giveth and then you taketh away. Like, why would you? I thought we were friends. That's not cool, man. That is just.
I think there's a
you're
chance.
just, Nikki's not playing with my heart. You are.
That's a good point.
You are.
That
Like,
is...
you're just at this point, you're like dangling the thing, and then you're like, oh, but, and it's okay.
I will
that's
say
fine.
this, though. After doing content for a long time,
Mhm.
sometimes you start with a joke or a thought, and then it keeps popping up in the news to the point that you're almost like, am I manifesting this?
Yeah.
Is this the Truman
Yeah.
Show? The fact
Yeah.
that we talked about Nikki Bella and she's been in the news every
Endlessly.
recording,
Yeah.
maybe there's some kismet going on in this universe.
I don't know. You're saying maybe I am Nikki Bella's fate. I don't know. I'm not going to argue with you. I can only argue if you've paid. So I'm sorry. I won't argue with that. We'll just let it stand and we will see what happens at Nikki Bella. Whatever, see what happens.
I'm telling you, one day it's happening. Nikki Bella will be on this couch right next to you there, man.
That would be the most hilarious segment ever.
Of
That
all
would be-
time.
I would instantly turn into Ralph Wiggum from The Simpsons. I would instantly be like, so do you like stuff? Because literally we'd have probably nothing in common. It would just be like, so,
Opposites attract, Jim.
yeah, have you read my book?
You know what? You'd be a great change of pace where she's like, I used to date wrestlers and athletes, and now I got this corporate
I'm so
lawyer
used to
type guy.
dating all these wildly successful athletes with oodles of money. I was thinking a late middle-aged lawyer would be a refreshing change of pace.
Yeah, but then you know what? You pop the top, you show the tats, you get in the gym and do some jujitsu, and all of a sudden she's like,
Wow.
wait a minute, this is best of both worlds.
Wow, Kevin.
Now
I'm
hyping you
you're a
back
hell
up.
of a matchmaker.
Yeah, I
you gotta
got you,
really
man.
you're lining it up.
Wingman
All right.
over here.
All right, there he is.
All right, let's do a reader email and we'll wrap it up.
Is it from Nikki Bella?
You
Dear
wish.
Jim, leave me alone or I will
Restraining
contact.
order.
Yeah, this is a cease and desist. Oh, that's great. That's super.
All right. Dear Jim, this is a little convoluted, but bear with me. I'm in my 30s. I've dated around. I got married, divorced, and now I'm dating again and considering another long-term relationship. Throughout these experiences, I've become keenly aware of details and patterns of both my behavior and my partner's behavior, meaning frequency of texting or how often we touch, how much we're laughing, even down to emojis and language when texting. Everything is great in the honeymoon phase, and then as time goes on, they naturally taper off. So now I can really notice when my behavior or hers begins to change. Is it toxic to not engage in that behavior during the honeymoon phase, keeping in mind that when it eventually fades or changes, it will be very obvious? Essentially, I don't want to love bomb, but is being proactive and intentionally distant to prepare for the future stupid?
Hang on, let me go back to that text box real quickly. So let's see. It's a little bit of a tricky situation, but I'm guessing this is a dude and he's talking to a lady. Honestly, I think before he answers this question, I think the dude is overthinking it. I think if he's already had sex with the woman, then he really shouldn't worry. Now, if he hasn't had sex yet, then I can see where the problem is. He just didn't have sex soon enough. Because I can assure you, as a guy, once you have sex with a woman that you're talking to, the dynamic almost flips entirely, right? Like now the woman is going to start being more proactive when it comes to communication. And she's going to be the one that's likelier to reach out when the conversation's a little quiet, right? So it just sounds like this guy is not moving fast enough. And now it's getting to a point where he's been on all these dates. He hasn't tried to escalate them. And now because he's not escalating them, the woman is getting bored. And now that's why he feels the way he's feeling. So, yeah. You can touch a lot, but if you haven't sealed the deal, then all that touching is really for naught. You just gotta man up and fucking go for the close before it's too late. And I think at this point, it's now too late. So, yeah.
That behavior during the honeymoon phase, keeping in mind that when it eventually fades or changes, it will be very obvious. Essentially, I don't want to love bomb, but is being proactive and intentionally distant
That is thing here and that.
to prepare.
Hang on, let me fix this real quickly.
for the future, stupid.
There we go.
I wouldn't say it's stupid. I think you're onto something here, and that is, should you restrain what it is that you're feeling in the early days of courtship, which is like a heady, intense, like chase the dragon kind of a like, oh my gosh, with each other. I don't think you should. I don't think it's honest. I'm generally a fan in relationship of a radical kind of honesty. Not to the point where you're being indelicate and where you're saying like out loud things that probably, it's okay to not say out loud. But I think restraining your natural desire to like text or call or follow up with someone because you know that naturally that's going to taper at some point. First of all, I think what makes that taper natural is that you're establishing a baseline that you both realize is like incredibly high and is a function of the fact that it's early days. So like, part of the fun of a relationship long term is remembering those early days and remembering like the passion and, the sort of intensity you both felt for each other and the feeling of like, oh my God, how long is this going to last? This feeling like I just want to like soak in this person. And then ideally that's replaced with obviously a deep connection and a passion towards each other still, but it's less of a frenzied one because it's the feeling of like, oh, this person's here. They're here and they're not necessarily going away in any short-term way. Like, of course, we'll lose each other eventually as everyone loses everyone. But we're no longer have to feel this sense of, oh my God, we have to do all of it right now because God knows if this is going to last another week or two. So I just don't think you have to like brace for that impact. I think let it happen naturally. What I generally believe is a good policy, though, is as things change, make a point of pointing out that things have changed, not in a way that's going to create defensiveness. So, for example, when you first start dating someone, you start a sexual relationship with them, maybe you're having a massive amount of sex with them. Maybe you're having a wild variety of types of things. You're just, you're really all over each other. And then eventually that starts to like fall into a rhythm and a routine. That's normal. That's natural. You both learn kind of the greatest hits of what the other person likes, and you fall into some kind of a rhythm. And you also want to continue to sustain things like life and contacts and being out in the world. You don't just want to be locked behind a closed door the way that you are maybe in those early days. So do you pretend nothing's changed? I don't think that's healthy. I'm a fan of regular check-ins, like building into your relationship weekly walk and talk, weekly email we send each other, weekly dinner that we have together, or time in the bed in the morning after breakfast where we just sort of lay around and talk about, what are some, I've said before, what are some things I did this week that made you feel loved? What are some things this week I could have done better? What are some things next week that I might be able to do to remind you how much I love you? And both of you,
Those are some good questions. Take notes, chat.
you should share those things with each other so that you know what the marks are. Part of that is going to be talking about like, hey, we're having a little less sex than we used to. Not in a, hey, why aren't we having sex as much as we used to, which immediately creates in the other person a defensive posture.
Yeah, that's the turnoff.
Instead, it's something more like, hey, it was like this, now it's like this. If that's the normal flow of things and we're both happy, that's okay. But our physical connection is really important to me. You're still the person that I want to think about and fantasize about and, sort of have desire for and feel desired by. So is that okay that things shifted? Is it that, this month that thing happened with your dad and you've been distracted? Is it the fact that you are feeling insecure about your body because you gained some weight over the holidays and maybe you're not feeling as sexy as you once did? Is there something I stopped doing that you liked that was, sort of motivated you to want to do that? Like, there has to be some room for open communication on that stuff. And again, if it can't be face-to-face because that feels too intense, not everybody's as good at like discussing heavy things in an extemporaneous way as I am, and it's a side effect of being a lawyer. Like maybe you send an email to each other, but build it in, build it into the relationship from the early days. I talk about this in the book. There's a chapter called Hit Send Now where I talk about building this in. It shouldn't be a bug. It should be a feature in your relationship. And again, worst case, you're just checking in and telling each other how fantastic of a job each of you is doing. But then when things do start to shift, you don't have to worry about stuff like this.
Sure.
That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. Remember to check out sextonshow.com to send us your feedback, your
I think my answer was a little better. It's just simply that the guy hasn't had sex with her yet. That's all. But his answer was okay. I just feel like mine is a little more straight to the point. Let's see these comments before we sign off. And the cackling, oh yeah, the co-host dynamic, right? Favorite channel on YouTube. Ooh, actually, you know what? I'm going to subscribe to this. I'm going to show this guy some love. New York Mater 2029. See how that goes. Yeah, the co-host is pretty good. But yeah, so basically that's that. And if you made it this far, thank you. I wonder what you like better, these longer videos that have gone on for, you know, at least a good 40 minutes now, or do you prefer the short ones that are maybe 20 minutes tops? Let me know. Trying to figure out how to make this channel better for 2026. I'm getting back into the whole YouTube thing. And again, if you've made it this far, I appreciate it. And hopefully I see you again on my journey as I figure out this whole YouTube shebang thing. Catch you on the next one.